morning, Gazalelo here, Bondi Guru. I hope you're all doing wonderful. Should put this a bit further back because I feel like we're a bit close. Okay, Monday morning. It is Monday, 10th of November, and we're back on the lives again, which is exciting. And I have to remind myself, perhaps more than anyone, that these lives are one, of course, to make sure that you guys are getting as much, I want to say, understanding of what these forecasts are really about. And I feel like the only way that I can really get people to understand this is by turning up. Turning up, speaking them in my own voice, sharing them through myself. And I feel like that makes a difference. There was a time where what I would do is just write the forecast and kind of sit in the background because I wanted the work to be presented, not necessarily myself. And then coming in to the realization that if people see me and they hear the forecasts from me, they then also get to know me only to understand that, okay, these are not your typical horoscopes, and what this person is talking about is present moment awareness and inner work. And so the reminder always is that these intuitive forecasts are purely based on intuition. The only purpose of them is to help you go back within yourself so that you can to do the inner work and for you to access your own intuition. There is no other purpose for these forecasts. So if you are someone that intuition is important to you, if you are someone that wants to know who you are beyond all the mental stories and thoughts and ideas and past and future and all that sort of stuff, then these forecasts can do wonders for you so long as you are paying attention through present moment awareness. And that's why you hear me say the same thing over and over again. It's come back to the present moment, come back to the here and now. And I share this because sometimes I will get some comments from people. It's very, very rare actually, but sometimes I will get some comments from people where they might say, this is not, or this is bullshit, or this is, something of that nature. Generally, I don't allow that type of commentary on the page, so I usually delete them. I don't bother responding to the people. That's just not worth my time. It's not worth my time because I'm not here to convince anyone. And so the more I keep reminding people that these are not your typical astrological forecasts and they won't deliver those who just want the answers and want to know exactly what to do all the time, then you won't find any value here. Okay, that being said, wow, what a morning it has been so far. Thank you for joining me. I'm just before I dive into all the daily forecasts for today, and let's see how, not fast, but let's see how we get through these ones today. Now, I want to let you guys know that I've just announced, I think it was on Saturday or Friday or Saturday, I announced that this year there will be 2026 yearly intuitive horoscopes, which I'm really excited about. I'm most excited about the format of them. So I've invited as many people as they want for each star sign to have their own group, and that will be a live group. Everything will be recorded. Not live here. I won't be live stream it for the world, by the way. It's the private sessions. So maybe I'll put maybe 4 or 5 people per group because I want to be able to focus on each individual as much as I can. So I'll deliver the yearly forecast. I will talk about finances, health, relationships. I will offer dates. I will talk about the most important thing, which is the theme of the year. The theme of the year is what allows you to understand what your lessons are all about. Good morning, Isabella. Nice to see you. Allows you to recognize what your lessons are about, opportunities, possibilities. Then I will focus on you as an individual if you are open to that. And so what that looks like is me saying to you, okay, for example, whatever your name is, but I would say to you, these are the dates that you need to personally look out for. And I'll also, whatever there is there intuitively for me to share with you about 2026. I just want to make that really clear. So those of you joining the groups, I'm not going to be talking about what maybe the issues that you're currently dealing with in your life and how to overcome those issues. I want to make it purely about 2026 and help you prepare for 2026. I'm just saying that because if there's issues and things that you want to go through, then I would probably recommend one-on-one intuitive sessions. Otherwise, always group. My favorite is group, and I always recommend that you stay on group sessions. There's also a lot to learn in those group sessions. I think they'll run for about 60, 75 minutes, depending on the type of questions that I get as well. There's a lot to learn from other group members, which is why I do group work. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's stick to the dailies, but I wanted to let you know that is available. You can email me, guru@bondaiguru.com. You can DM me on Instagram, just to let me know if it's something that you're interested in. By the way, it's 150 Australian dollars for the program. And I think the early bird offer is 120, but I think that's all taken now. I don't know if there's any left. And there are some people that are on the cusp, or they want to share this with a friend. That's $250 Australian for 2 people as well. I'm really big on just giving the price then and there. I'm not interested in playing games with people and playing the marketing game of don't tell them the price so that they can see the value in it. I'm like, forget it. This is what you see me, this is what you get. You see the work that I present. It either resonates with you or it doesn't. I'm not trying to convince. I don't have time for that. I bumped into some lovely people at the coffee shop this morning, where I go and grab my morning coffee. And they're Geminis, and I said it would be so easy if there was only one star sign. If there was only one star sign, oh my God, my life would be so easy. Okay. That being said, let's dive into the forecast. Let's start with Aries, of course. Always just a reminder that Aries are the youngest star sign, and I think that does matter. It matters because it's like being the youngest child. So sometimes Aries can have a youngest child syndrome. Sometimes. Okay. So let me just press record and we'll dive right in. So for the Aries, today actually, by the way, I did sit here and put some notes together prior to the session, just to keep the session moving along a little bit faster. Okay, and I wrote a line for each star sign that I can elaborate further on. I'll see how that goes. That may work for me, it may not. So for the Aries, okay, good. It's about accessing the space beneath the noise, dear Aries. This is what your entire existence is going to be about for quite some time. And I say this because there's a lot of mental noise, and sometimes it gets quiet and sometimes it doesn't. There's a lot of different stories that are currently playing out. A lot of them, of course, are in your own mind. It's not right or wrong, good or bad. That's not what we want to focus on. What we want to focus on, however, is that you still have access to the quiet. You just have to know how to get beneath that noise. And how you do that, of course, for an Aries is usually movement. But I want you to get really good at finding stillness through movement. Because if you're always running, then you're not going to find that stillness. If you know how to access stillness and quiet whilst then running, or whilst then doing your movements in your life, that's going to be the game changer for you. All of this is necessary because there are some very clear messages for you that sit in that space of stillness and quiet. The rest is just a whole heap of noise. And you have to be very careful in your life right now, because it's easy for the noise to get a hold of you and for you to start making a bunch of distracted decisions, and that's definitely not what you need. So accessing the stillness is about coming back to the present moment. Okay, so feeling sensations in the inner energy field of the body. That allows you to access a slower pace, which is the pace of the present moment, and then you'll start to feel the quiet. This is going to be what will support you to honor true decisions. The truth is that there are 1,000,001 decisions you can make on a daily basis. Aries or not, it doesn't make a difference. However, for the Aries, because there's a lot of mental noise at the moment, lots of different stories unfolding, you have to learn how to access that quiet space within you, because it's that quiet space that will support you to access true decisions. It's been a bumpy year for the Aries as it is, and some of the bumpiness has been due to the level of attention that you've given to some distractions, in particular mental noise. And some of it is, for example, the distractions have been what somebody else is doing with their life. I think a lot of the distractions for the Aries has been that, or how somebody else conducts themselves, or how somebody else runs their business, and why these people get to do this, and so on and so forth. This is how the ego operates anyway. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Aries. It's normal. That's how the ego operates. And so what we want to do is start to focus on wrapping the year up from a space of stillness and true decisions, which will support you to step into 2026 feeling empowered, which is what you want. You want to step into the new year feeling empowered. Okay, so that's for the Aries. Any questions along the way, feel free to ask. If not, that's okay too. Okay, so for the Taurians, you have to be as clear as you can at the moment, dear Taurus, about your inner dialogue. So a lot of paying attention, firstly, to the present moment, the flow of your breath, then observing that inner dialogue, and then taking the time to shift it. The reason I say this is because it's not enough to, for example, go, okay, I'm going to sit here and observe the inner dialogue. And the inner dialogue, let's say, keeps telling you that you are less than, you don't have access to abundance, you can't, live the life that you love, lots of different things. And it will tell you in ways that you don't even realize that that's the conversation that is going on internally. And so here you are putting effort and energy into creating amazing shifts in your life, then you keep ending up back in the same place based on the inner dialogue. So the effort needs to go into observing this inner dialogue. And the reason I say observe is so that you can be in the present moment to see the inner dialogue so you don't react to it. Because if you're not observing it from a space of present moment awareness, you'll get locked into that inner dialogue, and then you'll keep reacting, and then you'll keep trying really hard to force these changes in your life because you hate that inner dialogue and you need to prove something. Relax. You don't have to go about it that way. There is another way, and the other way is through present moment awareness, and that is what will be key for you. Observe that inner dialogue, and so from a space that is calm, open, present, so you can see it. Okay, there it is, I can see it. And then how do I love to feel is always a very powerful question. And it could be, I love to feel abundant. Great, then you shift that inner dialogue. However, this is the thing. The new dialogue you don't just say the new dialogue and it's done. It's going to take a lot of practice. And so every time you hear the old inner dialogue, stop, breathe, replace it with a new inner dialogue. You're going to need to do this probably a million times. So, because there are so many different thoughts that come at you all day long, and that inner dialogue finds so many different ways to come at you with lack. And so your job now becomes to shift it to abundant or feeling abundant. Actually, what's also critical here is the feeling. That's probably one of the most important things. So when you're shifting that inner dialogue, you also have to be able to feel that camera. You have to be able to feel the new dialogue and the new inner dialogue, which then I would recommend that you keep it as simple as possible. Start with one thing. You don't need to try to change everything at once. Every change has its own adjustment period. An adjustment period is usually quite challenging, regardless of how wonderful and positive a change can be. Okay, so that's for the Taurians. Okay. Now for the Gemini. You may have to be a little bit more aware of your expectations at the moment, dear Gemini. And I say this because some old expectations have been rising to the surface, and they're expectations with the energy of demanding, as though life owes you something, as though life now has to deliver all the things that you need it to deliver, or you're demanding for it, excuse me, to deliver, because if it doesn't, then, you know, not sure what the repercussions are. However, that being said, what will be useful for you today is just recognize what these old expectations are. You can even go as far as being aware about where they come from, and this is where your intuition will guide you. So, what I would do first is write down what are these expectations that you have of life. And at the moment, you're seeing life as separate from you, hence these expectations. These expectations are almost from very old wounds. That's the feeling that I'm getting. Hence the energy of demand, hence the energy of this is what life needs to now give me. And that operating from that space, you're going to hurt yourself. What I mean by hurt yourself is you'll end up creating a lot of disappointment for yourself, and that's going to feel really difficult and painful. You don't have to go down that road. What you can do is recognize, okay, I can see these expectations, so write them all down, from a space that is present and quiet, calm energy. Just write down the expectations you have of life. You might even write down, I feel like life owes me. Great. Be honest. What do you feel like life owes you? And write it all down. It's okay if you feel that way. It's okay that you have these expectations. They come from somewhere. What we want to do is give them a voice, give them a platform, let them express themselves. Once they feel heard and seen, they don't exist anymore. Some work for the Geminis to do at the moment. I feel like at the end of the day, it's really, no matter what these forecasts are telling you, they're showing you the work that you need to do. And I hope that that's what you guys are getting from these. And you walk away going, okay, I know today, for example, what I need to do is write down my expectations, blah, 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 get present, so on. Okay, great. That's my work for the day. That, if I can do that, then I've made it. Okay. So for the Cancerians, what's important for you guys at the moment is to steer clear, dear Cancer, of the negative energy, the negative vibes. There is some around you in your life at the moment. And being the wonderful, sensitive Cancerian that you are, then of course you're more susceptible to taking on energies. You're more susceptible to taking on emotions and ideas and thoughts that don't actually belong to you. Especially when you're at a time in your life where it's really important for you to be as open as you can possibly be. And so the beauty of being open is that you see and feel and recognize opportunities and possibilities. You let love in, you express love. The danger for the Cancerians being open, and I say danger, maybe too strong of a word, but perhaps what can be challenging for the Cancerians as being as open as you need to be in your life at the moment also means that you are susceptible to energies that don't belong in your sphere and in your space. And for some reason, it feels like there's some heavy negative energy that's around you. I don't know if there are certain people that are carrying this, and it could be somebody in your life feels incredibly wounded, or they have, something has been triggered for them, and lots of old stuff is coming up for them. And so they're feeling quite dark and negative themselves. It's not that you can't support that person. Of course you can. You just have to be mindful that not to take their story, their experience, and the energy that they're currently carrying, don't take that into your mind, heart, and body. And again, the reason I'm sharing this with the Cancerians is because now more than ever, you need to be the most open that you can be. However, being as sensitive as you are in terms of traits and characteristics, which is a beautiful thing, because your sensitivity is what allows you to be as open as you need to be and can be, then there's that part where also you become more susceptible to other people's stuff. I love it when I get to share a little bit about traits and characteristics through intuition. I love that. And Cancerians are yes, incredibly sensitive, which is part of their traits and characteristics. Of course, you Cancerians have this really tough outer shell. Your ability to be strong and so on for so forth is wonderful. It's tremendous. And then there's that deep, deep, deep sensitivity that you have, which can often be misconstrued as weakness, interestingly enough. Okay, let me just make sure that I've saved this, and then we'll jump on to the next one. My goal is to get through these in record time in the mornings. Again, I'm here because I need to do the daily forecasts anyway. So my intention has been, well, I'll do them live. It pushes me to make sure that I turn up on time. Not that I have a problem turning up on time, but it pushes me to make sure that they are consistent. So nothing else can get in the way. No distractions can get in the way because I need to be here at 8 a.m. And some will join and listen and some perhaps won't, but you can also listen to this throughout the day. Okay, let's keep going. We've got the Leos. Today for the Leos, what is most important or valuable, I could say, is making sure that you don't lose time and energy in complicated thoughts, complicated ideas. Remember, right now it's about keeping it as simple as you possibly can in your life. And so that means your decisions need to be very simple, your actions need to be very simple. And part of keeping things simple is as simple as, okay, what is the step that's in front of me right now? Don't worry about the 300 other steps that you know you need to take at some point. And that's where things get very complicated for the Leos. So come back to what is in front of me today. Maybe write a list down of all the things. Hopefully it's not 300 things, but some of the things or the priorities that you have for today. Always know what your priorities are. That's critical. And so write down a list of your priorities for today and focus on today. Now, throughout the days, you're, let's say, working or you're walking or whatever you're doing in your day, other things will show up in your mind, other actions for you to take and decisions. Just write them down. Write them down. They don't have to, they may not have anything to do with today, but if you write them down, that you're continuously emptying your mind. And the emptier your mind is, the easier it is for you, as a Leo in particular, to operate from a space that is very, very simple. Simplicity equals success for the Leos. Okay. That's Leo. I love that. Simplicity equals success. And what I love also about these forecasts is everything I say can be relatable for anyone, any star sign. In particular, the work that I offer here. So if there's something here that's appealing to you in terms of the work, it doesn't matter what star sign you are. It really doesn't matter. Okay, then we have the Virgo. Interesting one for the Virgos. For now, dear Virgo, it's always about the now, it's about today. The key for you is to stay true to the quiet within you. So what this could mean and look like is, for example, maybe today when you wake up, you feel a little bit quiet. You don't feel like running around or proving anything to anyone, which is great for a Virgo, by the way, because often Virgos do operate from a space of, I need to prove myself, I need to prove myself, I need to prove myself. And so today, that energy isn't prominent. There's a quiet energy. There's something very quiet about the Virgos today. And what I'm going to recommend is that you allow that quiet to remain. Don't try to change it. If you're feeling quiet, sometimes it looks as though you're feeling down. It may look as though you're unhappy or like, oh, what's wrong? What's going on with you? And you don't really have the words to describe it. The quiet feeling is intentional, is really what I want to get across to the Virgos. That quiet feeling is there for a reason, and it's going to support you to honor some decisions that have been sitting on the back burner for maybe 2 to 3 years. You need to be in that quiet space, that quiet feeling where there's no drama, there's not lots of different emotions, in order for you to honor these few decisions. I don't know that there's many of them. There's just a few of them that have had to sit on the back burner for some years until you get to this point of quiet. Now, it's not that you've never experienced this quiet before, you have. It's just that most of the time when you have this type of quiet, you see it as a negative and you quickly try to change it and make yourself feel good, feel better, become excited, things of that nature. So then you don't use that quiet. Whenever you wake up and you feel quiet, honor that quiet. And today it's going to be important for you to honor the quiet, and you'll be able to do this by honoring those few decisions. Okay, that's for the Virgo. And so for the Virgos, it is quite common. My feeling is, so again, I use only intuition here. In particular, traits and characteristics, it is quite common for the Virgos to need to prove. There's often I need to prove myself, I need to prove myself. Of course, it's unconscious. For some, you're conscious of it, but generally, it's unconscious. What I share with you as well is often unconscious, because I'm talking about what's going on deep within. And so the intention is to then bring it to your consciousness so you can do the work that supports you to either overcome or break through, or to know to leave it. Like this morning, I was having a conversation with a client and they were talking about all the things that they had to let go of. I'm like, man, you're going to drive yourself insane, because now what you've done is you've told yourself there are all these things that you have to let go of, and until you let them go, you can't live. You can't make any decisions. You can't experience who you are, and so on and so forth. I'm just giving you the small version here, but there's nothing to let go of. Shift your focus. When you shift your focus, there's nothing to let go of. The whole idea of letting go, if I need to let go of, limitations, for example, you can't. You don't need to do any of that stuff. That's ego talking shit. What you want to do is bring your attention to the present moment. Once you practice and you continue to bring your attention to the present moment, you realize there's nothing to let go of. Okay, so now we have the Librans. Give yourself the opportunity today, dear Libra, to do two things. One is to show your appreciation. I feel like the space the space that you need to go into to access your appreciation and show your appreciation is what also opens a door or a doorway within you that expresses a lot of unexpressed emotions. I feel like there's a ball of unexpressed emotions that sits somewhere in, my feeling is the left side of the body. It sits somewhere in the abdomen, more towards the left side. Now, I want to make sure I've got that right. Okay, that's the feeling that I get. So it's just like a ball of energy, and it just sits there. And that ball of energy has a lot of unexpressed emotions that just keeps turning and churning and turning and churning. And so it's necessary for these unexpressed emotions to be released. My feeling is accessing your appreciation, the level of appreciation. And it's, for example, saying thank you, whether it's to someone or to the universe or to yourself, but there's a level of appreciation that you access. Share that appreciation, express it. The moment you've expressed that appreciation and also felt it, that's when the release of these unexpressed emotions begins to occur. So you'll also find, perhaps through the day, more towards a little bit later in the day, an array of different emotions are rising to the surface. There's nothing you need to do with these emotions, just allow them to pass through. And allowing emotions to pass through is taking the time to acknowledge them, honor them. Honor them means that you allow yourself to feel what the emotion feels like. No more than 90 seconds. You don't need to add content to the emotion, though, and that's where a lot of people fall apart, is they feel an emotion and then they start to add content to it. Content is, well, the reason I feel this is because this, or someone did this to me, that's why I feel the way I, so on and so forth. That's not going to be useful in this case. Okay, so no content, feel the emotion. There was two things I was going to say. I'm not sure what the other one is. I got lost in the first one, so let's roll with that for today. And sometimes that happens. Maybe I shouldn't mention that there's two things I need to say. Okay, so that's for the Librans. Now I really feel strongly the ball of energy that sits in the left side. I can still feel it now. It just keeps turning and churning and turning and churning. That's not negative or positive or right or wrong or good or bad. I want to make that very, very clear. I feel like I need to share that often because the brain can very quickly go into, oh my God, is this a bad thing? Is what you're going to tell me, is that going to be a bad thing? And often I see on the Bondi Guru page, on in particular Instagram, where people will message or even DM, please tell me something good. I'm like, man, it doesn't. First of all, it's not up to me. It's not like I'm sitting here going, which star sign do I like best? And let me think of something wonderful I can share with them. It doesn't work that way. I also get people that message me and ask me to manipulate a star sign forecast for the day so they can get a particular person like into a relationship with them. I just ignore those. I think sometimes people maybe they do, because this is not the way I think. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. And I feel like, or sometimes some people think to themselves that it's up to me as an individual. It's up to me as an identity and my opinions about what happens to your star sign. Because some people get really upset with me. I've seen it before. You know, you're bullying me, or you're telling me, stop telling me what to do, and I'm just like, what? But anyway, never mind. Okay, so we now have Scorpios. Okay, yeah, this is an interesting one with the Scorpios. It's interesting because often my feeling for a little while for the Scorpios has been almost like I'm trying to cheer you guys up. Come on, you've got this, and it's going to be okay. And some Scorpios play the game of, you need to convince me and prove to me that it's going to be okay. Maybe I'll just deliver this as a forecast so I don't have to go over it twice. Okay, so for the Scorpio for today, I'm going to share something that I find really interesting. There are Scorpios that are waiting for some incredible, amazing news to come along and change their lives forever. I'm not saying this amazing, incredible news will or won't come along. I have no idea. However, what I am saying is that the more you sit and wait for that incredible news to come along, the more of your life will pass you by. And then I feel like there are certain Scorpios that need to be convinced that everything's going to be okay. They need that convincing. They need proof. Prove to me, show me that everything's going to be okay. Then I will consider choosing my happiness over an emotion that feels heavier and darker. That's the energy that I get with the Scorpios. And I even often find myself, as I'm about to deliver a forecast for the Scorpios, it's very easy to become aligned with the need to convince. Come on, guys, you've got this, and you can do this, and so on and so forth. And that would then be me buying into that limitation that some of the Scorpios, and I say some because maybe not all of you, but some of the Scorpios are continuing to fight for. So the message, loud and clear for the Scorpios today, stop fighting for your limitations. If something doesn't feel good, move away from it. You don't have to keep doing it, right? But stop fighting for that as a limitation. Waiting for the big event of your life to come along and change everything is what will create bigger and bigger disappointment in your life where you're at currently. Yes, there are changes. Yes, there are transformations. And yes, there is so much to look forward to. However, that being said, it can't be somebody else's job to keep coming and reminding you or trying to convince you that it's going to be okay. There's a moment where you have to have that conversation with yourself and shift your perspective to focus on something in your life that fuels you and inspires you. And sometimes there are some days that we all go through that we have to force that moment of fueling and inspiration. And if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. And I only say that because I'm not a really big fan of forcing anything, but I only say this because otherwise that part of you that is incredibly stubborn will keep fighting for limitations that are not serving you. Gosh, I hope I've delivered that in a way that can be understood. I think that's a big one for the Scorpios. This year, perhaps I could go as far as saying one of the most challenging star signs I feel like I've delivered for the year is Scorpio. And not because there's anything wrong with Scorpios, not at all, but one of the most challenging forecasts have been the Scorpios because of that need to, come on, let's do this. You've got this. That's a feeling that I get. Maybe I'll share that on a post a little bit later. Yeah, that'll be cool, actually. Okay. Now, I'm aware that I could be talking to myself. I actually don't, I'm not really looking to see if there's anyone on here, but hang on one second, just in case I don't want to miss any questions. You're welcome, Denise, no worries. Okay, cool. Now we're going to go on to Sagittarius. So Sagittarians, what I observe and notice when I'm about to deliver the Sagittarius forecast, I can share this, is the inner battle. And there's a need for the battle because the Sagittarians seem to thrive from that battle. But it's not the kind of thriving that is useful. Let me put it this way. Of course, we all want to thrive all the time, but hang on one second. It's more that it helps them to feel alive. That's what I want to say. So let me dive into the forecast. The battle that goes on for the Sagittarius internally is something that I notice quite often. And so when I come here to deliver your forecast, often the first thing I notice is, there's that battle again. And so what I'm starting to realize for the Sagittarians is the battle that you have, that inner battle, you thrive off that, meaning that it's what helps you feel alive. And what that says to me is when you're making decisions in your life and taking action on whatever it is that you love, it's got to be something that you love, and you're honoring that, that's going to make you feel alive. And when you're not honoring what you love, when you're not honoring decisions and actions that you truly love, then that battle will be consistent and constant because that's what makes you feel alive. So it's almost as though for the Sagittarians right now, whatever helps you to feel alive, that's what you're doing. The issue here is it's not going to make a difference to your brain. Your brain doesn't know, for example, it's the battle that's making you feel alive. It doesn't matter, and nor does it, or that it's because you're maybe hitting your goals or bringing your dream to fruition. It doesn't know the difference. It just knows, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive. And so now it becomes your job to start to pay attention, gauge and notice when you're in that inner battle. Part of that inner battle for the Sagittarians is the complaining and the negativity that goes on. Soon as there's complaining and negativity, wonderful. That is now your gauge to go, okay, I'm not making decisions that help me to feel alive, that help me to feel inspired. And right then and there, that's your opportunity for change. So what I'm sharing with you guys is not a bad thing. It's helping you to gauge that the negativity and the complaining that goes on in the back of your mind and perhaps most often the forefront of your mind is a gauge. You don't need to try to shut it down. It's what's there to tell you, hey, you're not choosing decisions that you love. Therefore, there's going to be this inner battle. At least it makes you feel alive. once you are very clear on what I'm saying here, you have a choice. And you start to decide to align with visions, dreams, goals that help you to feel alive. Because really what's most important for you is to feel alive. By the way, nothing supports a Sagittarius to feel alive more than connection. So whether that's connection with yourself, with others, with animals, with nature, not sure, but it's connection. Okay, that was cool. That felt really great. Now, again, I'm here to help you recognize what's going on internally. And I truly believe that our own thoughts can be our biggest gauge. It doesn't matter what the content is, it can be useful. I say this because it's very easy for us to want to quickly shut down certain thoughts, certain ideas that feel negative, that feel heavy. No, don't think that, don't think like that, or, don't let that get in your way. And, I hear it all the time. But the thing is, if you bring present moment awareness to where you are in your life, even to the negative thinking, you'll start to very quickly recognize this is a gauge. This is helping me understand what I need to work through. It's helping me understand what I need to shift in my life. So we can use our own mental chaos, believe it or not, to guide us. Hear me out though. It's the intuition that will guide you. It's bringing present moment awareness to the mental chaos that will allow you to be open to intuition to guiding you, is the main point there, okay? Okay, so just checking, no questions. Okay, good. Now, Capricorn. There's a lot of, okay, so another thing with the Capricorn. So there's a lot of do it your way, do it your way, do it your own way. You don't have to do it anyone else's way for the Capricorns. However, that being said, at the moment, it's about collaboration. Got it. Okay, let's dive into this one. So I'm just sitting here on the live and having a conversation and perhaps even pondering out loud. And for the Capricorns, one of the things I notice often is it's about doing it your way and being okay to do things your way. Do it your way. It's okay for you to do it your way. And part of doing it your way means dismissing everybody else's way. It's not a good or bad or right or wrong. It's not about that, dear Capricorn. Now, that being said, at the moment, it's about collaborating. So it's no longer about just do it your own way. Just do it your own. It's not about that. What's important is for you to be open to collaborating. There are going to be versions of how you're doing things right now from somebody else. And I say versions and ideas that are going to look very different to yours. However, those very different looking ideas and versions are going to be what will support you more than anything else. So the do it your way does work and has worked for a long time in your life. It's a different time in your life at the moment. And so for what you're looking to do next, for example, requires a collaboration. It requires an energy and for you to be in a space where you can be open to collaborating, where you can be open to different ideas, different understandings, where you can be open to whatever you're doing can be done very differently. And maybe someone else can support you to do it in a way that will be much better or faster or support you to be clearer. So we have to get out of that, I've got to do it my way, I've got to do it my way, I've got to do it my way mindset right now and go, okay, I need to now be open and welcome the collaboration. Yes, that felt so spot on for me. I got to say, I love it when I can understand the forecast. It's actually quite challenging for me when I can't. So sometimes I sit here, like for example, on weekends, nobody's here. It's not live, which is kind of a little bit refreshing. And I think I'll keep it that way because then if I need to swear, I can swear. And so what I find sometimes is I'll do the forecast and then I stop recording and it's like, fuck, that didn't make any sense to me. I have no idea what I just said. Those moments can be very frustrating for me. Not because did what I say, is it right or wrong? It's not that, because intuition doesn't have right or wrong. It's more that I want to understand it. I want to be a part of this experience of what I'm delivering, and I want to understand what I'm sharing makes me feel alive when I understand it. When I don't understand it, it almost makes me feel a little bit shut down and frustrated. Frustrated becomes my most wonderful emotion that I'm very good at feeling, and I'm also very good at avoiding. So I notice that when I understand the forecast, I feel alive. It's such a great feeling for me. It's such a roller coaster, these forecasts. Okay, now we're going to dive into Aquarius. I'm just going to set this page up. One sec. And guess what? That means today we did, hopefully in under an hour. Let me not get ahead of myself. Okay, so for the Aquarians, let's have a conversation. Okay. So what comes, I want to say comes through, I don't want to do, I don't like airy-fairy things. I don't know if people know this about me. I do not like airy-fairy. So what I'm feeling though, for the Aquarians is that part of them that has a need to prove. So let's talk about that a little bit. There's a part of you that gets in the way time and time again, dear Aquarius. This is not a good or bad thing. It's just for you to understand. It's for you to listen, pay attention, and go, okay, what's the best decision for me to make right now? Now, for the Aquarians, the part of you that often gets in the way is, I need proof. I need proof that what I'm doing is going to work. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it because there's no point. And that's what shows up for the Aquarians many times throughout your life. In particular, when there's a vision or a dream that becomes clear, then all of a sudden the stubborn part of you, which let's say the ego, comes in because it's fearful and goes, wait, stop, before I decide to say yes or no. And this is an opportunity that is in your heart. This is something that you love. But before I decide to say yes or no, I need proof. I need to know that this is going to work. And the problem here is you won't know because nobody can prove anything to you. Nobody can prove to you, and nor should they have to, however, that being said, nobody can prove to you that the dream that you have sitting deep in your heart will become something, it won't become something, and it's not anybody's job to prove it to you. Now, generally what you're asking when the proof thing comes in, you're asking the universe. You're asking something outside of you, prove it to me, then I will be happy to put in the work. And I'm just sharing this with you because it's an opportunity for you now in your life to go, okay, I can see how my ego comes in and takes over. And it's coming in from fear. So the opportunity is to have a different conversation with that part of you and go, hey, what I'm hearing is that you are afraid. That's why you need to know how it's going to work out. And this also is huge in terms of relationships for Aquarians and sharing parts of themselves in the relationship that they won't share. Aquarians are really great at sharing what they think is going to be useful, and then the rest they'll put it to the side because they could get hurt. So it's best that they don't say anything. And so having a conversation with this part of you comes from somewhere, and sitting it down and going, okay, I know that you're afraid, and you're allowed to be afraid, and it's even okay that you're afraid. And I'm going to sit here with you. If there's anything you wish to share with me, share it with me. And if there isn't, that's okay too. I'm just going to sit here with you. That will be your game changer. Cool, huh? I think that's really cool. You can't beat the ego. You can't beat it at its own game. You will never beat it. It doesn't matter how clever, smart, or wise you think you are, you won't be able to. The ego is always a step ahead of you, always. It's always a step ahead of the present moment. So here's the key. If you want to, in that moment, recognize ego, all you have to do is come back to the present moment, because the ego is always ahead of the present moment. Always. Yes, in the form of thinking, it's ahead of the present moment. So the key, it doesn't have access to the inner world. Now, I would never suggest you smash your ego, get rid of it. You can't anyway. The moment you think you have to smash your ego, that's ego telling you that you have to smash your ego. So keep it simple. Come back to the present moment. Have a conversation with different parts of you that are triggered. That can make a tremendous difference. I'm not going to dive into that here because that's a very long conversation. So I'm going to jump into the Pisces. And before I do, I want to share one thing with you guys. I've decided, and I had this decision over the weekend, that I'm going to start a program called, I think this is what I'm going to call it because I'm just sitting with it at the moment, Intuition and Present Moment Awareness. I think that's what it's going to be about. And what essentially it will be is 1 day a week I will turn up to the program. It'll be online for now. Definitely my goal is to have it face to face, but for now, just lack of time, it'll have to be online. And anyone can turn up to that. It'll be a price that is accessible to anybody, or most people rather. I shouldn't, because I don't know where people are at. And I'm going to talk about present moment awareness, and I'm going to talk about intuition and how to access your intuition. And I will keep the program running every single week for as long as I'm here for. But the reason I want to do this is to help people understand the ease and grace of intuition, the power of present moment awareness, and it has nothing to do with star signs. It's also an opportunity for you to learn and practice. So you could be there every week, or you can decide to show up to one or two of them. It's entirely up to each individual. But every week we will practice accessing intuition and practicing present moment awareness. The depth of present moment awareness and intuition is infinite. Hence, this course program will run for as long as it possibly can. I just want to share that with you guys. I'm in the process of putting that together at the moment. Okay, now Pisces. Just check this. Okay, Costco. I also feel you hit the nail on the head with it being very challenging. Yes, it is. I hear you. Okay, so for the Pisces, I want to remind you, dear Pisces, that you don't need to be in a rush. There are opportunities that are aligned perfectly with where you're at right now to support you to rise from where you're at. So the key for the Pisceans then means that you need to allow yourself to be where you're at. And sometimes this is what it looks like. Where you're at could be, for example, you wake up today and you're feeling a little bit slower than you normally feel. Then you honor that. Then go at a slower pace. Honor that means you have to trust it. And sometimes that's the biggest challenge for the Pisces, is to trust anything. The more intuitive you are, the more, perhaps, what's the word? Oh no, I've forgotten the word. Paranoid you can be as well. So be aware of that. The other side of it is being incredibly paranoid. And so the reason I share that is because you can easily convince yourself that you shouldn't feel how you feel, that, you got to, come on, roll your sleeves up and do this and do that. But if you're feeling to go at a slower pace today and you wake up and you're feeling a little bit slower, then you need to honor that. Mostly I'm sharing this with the Pisceans today because you have about 3 to 4 opportunities in your sphere right now. And these 3 to 4 opportunities will support you to rise from where you are. The only reason you are where you are in your life right now is because there's a beautiful rising that is about to take place the moment you let yourself land. And I feel a bit just going slow today. Maybe I've got a lot on my plate and there's so many things I need to do, but I just feel to go a bit slower. Then honor that feeling, because that is what will allow you to land where you are, and that's where the rising takes place, by you being able to recognize these 3 to 4 different opportunities that I just mentioned. Okay, that's it. I can hear I must be King, one of my German shepherds. Bless his cotton wool. He's 12 now, and I can hear him in the background running, but he's not really. He's asleep, and I can hear his little big paws hitting the ground, but he's sleeping. Oh, bless him. Okay, guys, that's it for me today. I will be back again tomorrow to continue delivering these forecasts. If anyone has any questions, if there's anything in particular you'd like me to discuss, let me know. And I will keep you guys informed about the 2 really cool new programs. One is obviously the yearly intuitive forecast for 2026 that will be available. Soon there'll be a link and you can book in for that. And then the next one is the program I just mentioned. By the way, just to be clear, all of these support the daily intuitive horoscopes to remain free. Without your contribution, which is absolutely required, your financial contribution, or sometimes your contribution is spreading the word and sharing these forecasts with other people. It depends on the situation that you're in. And without purchasing these types of programs and products, these daily intuitive horoscopes cannot remain free. And my aim and my vision is to keep them free because I want everyone and anyone anywhere in the world, in particular when they're having a really tough moment, to be able to press play, and it helps them to come back around and choose life over anything else. Really, that is what is most important to me. That's why I want to keep them free. That's why I show up to the degree that I show up. I wish you could understand the amount of work that goes into these forecasts. I'm not going to sit here and rave on about it. It's a decision that I've made in my life to do, and I'm honoring that. And I love what I do. Your contribution makes a tremendous difference, whether you decide to contribute to the dailies or jump onto one of the products or programs that I'll be delivering. Thank you for your time. Take care.